Okay, so this is stage 2 in the BCA valuation process. If you have not watched stage 1, then press stop immediately and go and watch it, because that effectively takes you through the Inquiry Max process in order to push the part exchange into BCA Dealer Pro. So, assuming we have done that, you will see a little icon on your iPad. Obviously, you're going to give it a double click. It will then start to open, and when it does, it will require you, unlike Eva, it will require the user to put in their user ID and password. In fact, it won't actually. If you do it once, all you then have to do is just very quickly pop your password in. As soon as you do that, it will take you to a screen that looks like this. Because you followed stage 1 process and you've already entered the data into Inquiry Max, the vehicle that you effectively had put in or appraised will be detailed here in the bottom. The reason that there's a number of vehicles here in the bottom is because it just means that 3 salesmen since you did your appraisal have done appraisals and they're already in front of you. So you can see here, if you do remember, GD17AXM was the registration number of the car that we had used in the example. If you've got 10, 15 car salespeople in your dealership and it's a busy Saturday, you may not see your car in there anymore, and that's effectively because it's moved all the way down here. So it's really easy. You just swipe left and then you'll see the car, give it a click, and as soon as you click it, you're in for the appraisal. So what we now do effectively is we just confirm that that is the car. We're going to click on that, and then it just takes you through some really obvious questions. What I'm not going to do is go through each question and tell you how you should answer it or what to look out for. Many of you will go on the BCA training or the appraisal training, or you've had appraisal training in the past. So basically just fill out the information that's available to you, or that you can glean from the client, and move on to the next step. So once we put the basic information in, including service history, MOTs, etc., it will take us to what we call the beauty shot. So these are all the standard pictures that we will need to sort of take just to sort of overview the car, but they're not the damage shots. They're just like, this is the car's general sort of view. So as soon as we start to take images just here, what it will do is it will take us systematically through each of these shots. So obviously the car in the picture is just showing you the angles upon which you should take the pictures, and telling you which pictures you should be taking. So offside front quarter, near side front quarter, you get the idea. As soon as you click on the instrument cluster, so if I was to actually click that now to take a picture of the speedo and get the mileage, automatically it gives you the option to edit the miles. So when we were sitting in the showroom, probably said to the customer, what's the sort of mileage on your car? They say 36,000 I think it is, but it might turn out to be 36,114. Well, then you can type it in. So now that I've advanced and quickly taken all those pictures, you can see there's the car. I click on the next step and it moves me on to the sort of squashed frog of the outside panels of the vehicle. So if there is any damage or marks, obviously we're going to mark them. So I'm going to pretend here that I've got some alloy wheel damage. So if as soon as you tap your finger onto the wheel here, it kind of says, well, look, what's the issue? Well, the near side front wheel, it's scratched and it's up to 50 millimeters. So that's obviously significant enough for us to have an alloy repair done. So we're going to click a camera so the chief can decide what they want to do. You zoom on on it, take the picture, and there it all is. So once it's all in there with the pic, just click on the confirm, and what it will do is it will take us back and say, well, look, is there any other damage? Well, just so happens there is. The near side front door, it's got some damage, so we give it a click, but what sort of damage in it? Well, the near side front door, it's scratched, but it's up to 25 mil and it's not through the paint. So, you know, the manager, he or she's probably thinking, well, what does that mean? So, of course, we're going to take a picky, and as you can see here, this is just where it's sort of scuffed up against bushes or whatever in a lane, could be anything like that. So, happy with that, we're going to click the confirm, which we do, and it takes us onto the interior assessment. Obviously, I'm not going to go and repeat the process again for the interior. A lot of people seem to think that these squares here represent the seats. No, they're the seats. This is the headlining. Okay, so you get the idea of where the front and the rear of the car is. So just take whatever pictures that you need, mark any damage. I always advise on every single time you do an appraisal, just mark, you know, the seats as being dirty, because we're going to have to validate that. But then the appraisal system, BCA, thinks that we've then definitely done an appraisal. It thinks if you skip this, it just thinks you've missed it because you haven't bothered doing anything. The term that they give for dirty seats is soiled, so just mark whether it's sort of, you know, light or whatever it might be, or heavy or such. So we're going to click on the next step once we've done that, and it will take us to the tyres. Obviously you can just click on the little drop downs just here. When you do, it'll ask you to say, well, how deep is the tread depth on that particular wheel. We put 4 mil. It'll tell us whether or not it's legal. If it's illegal, below 1.6 across the central 3/4 of the complete circumference of the tyre, and take a photo of it, and the manager can then decide what they need to do. I think in the standard, I think across Marshall, is that if it's less than 3, then we'll probably end up changing it. But once we've done that, we're happy with all the tyre tread depths. We're going to click on the next step, and it's going to say, have we driven the car? Of course we need to drive the car. Yes, we will have driven the vehicle. Does the vehicle start easily? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. And I put a sort of an issue in here because I just want to show you what you do next. Are there any noticeable problems with the vehicle, sort of clutch, gearbox, suspension systems, etc.? I put yes. So people want to know what that means, so we click on add notes, and I'll just put here that when I put my foot on the clutch, it was a little bit noisy. It just also happened that the door mirrors weren't working, so at least the boss can sort of take that into account. The final bit, it just sort of, you know, any sort of additional spec or things to note. What we'll do is we'll sort of tap all of those on, and then when we've finished, because that's kind of like the end of the appraisal, nice and easy, we're going to click on finish appraisal. Once we click finish appraisal, it brings up a summary. So this is something that we can walk through with the customer, but you just need to swipe up, all right, so that it brings it further down the page. Swipe up again. It will grade the vehicle here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which obviously affects the value. And we're going to swipe up again, and it's again showing us the damage. Remember, I did the wheel and the door. And swipe down to the bottom. Now, just at the bottom here, you'll notice it's got customer signature and dealer signature. As soon as I click that, it puts the iPad into a position where the customer can sign with their finger or whatever, or if you've got one of those little pens for the screen, that's great, because you've just walked them through it. You also need to sign it, and once you've done that, click the print and share, and we're going to email a copy of that by clicking there, and we're going to email it to the customer, so that it gives us the date and the time and everything that we appraised the car, so that when we reappraise it on handover, if there are any subsequent damage that wasn't on the original, then we've got a little bit of evidence. But it's really, really important that you also CC yourself, because the PDF that gets produced of the appraisal, you can drop straight into iStore docs or Motor Docs, which are the electronic deal file systems that are operated in ex-Motorline sites and will be operated in the core Marshall operations as well. So once we sort of send that off, you might already be back in the showroom, but if you're not, and you were doing it beside the car, your iPad will automatically reconnect with your Wi-Fi. So don't think that when you walk outside, because you've not got Wi-Fi, that the system will stop working. It doesn't. It knows how to continue working without it being connected to Wi-Fi. So if for some inexplicable reason it's not uploading, and it will literally say synced up here, just tap the top left here and it will then successfully upload. So now that it's uploaded all the information to the BCA servers, BCA then transfer all of that information over to InquiryMax. So if I log back in as a manager and I click login here, and I go to the customer's inquiry just here, and I click vehicle appraisal, you can see all of my beauty shots. So being the boss, I obviously want to provide a valuation for the sales executives. I click on valuation, and what it will do is it will produce in this section here all the vehicle values for this particular vehicle. So it will look like that. So of course it has all of the cap ranges from cap new to cap average, cap retail, cap trade. Or cap below I should say. It also produces something called the BCA auction value. That's typical of what those cars right now are going through the auction at. But of course the manager will need to value the car in line with company policy and whatever procedures you do for your brand and your dealerships. So in this case, this vehicle's been valued at 11.5, so they pop that into InquiryMax at 11.5. Don't worry about that SIV, because if you put 11.5 there, that is exactly what's going to be on the offer to the customer. So only put in here, you know what's being offered to the client. Okay, so if, for example, by the way, no data has been transferred, sometimes on the odd occasion when you put the registration number in, it doesn't port over to BCA, so you just have to do a normal appraisal in BCA, and then it will still give you the values in BCA, but it won't have transferred back to InquiryMax. There is on the odd occasion that will happen. So if you do get that image as opposed to that, then what you're going to do is sign back into BCA Dealer Pro. This is now the manager. They click sign in, they click view vehicles, and you'll see GD17AXM just there. So if I just click that reg number, bosh, it takes me straight back to the details of the vehicle, and hey presto, it's got all my numbers there, so I can value the car. So I see it 11.5. So obviously when I'm doing the InquiryMax deal build, you know, I can put the value in accordingly. Other than that, that is pretty much it. If you've got any queries, you can give me a call, and you know, happy to help out. But otherwise, thank you for watching.